All right. It's party time.
You sound like you're starting to recover a bit.
Maybe a little, maybe just a tad, but I still feel like a big bag of mashed up assholes. How you doing, Kahuna?
I don't need to be picturing it at all.
How you doing?
I'm going well. Yeah.
You pretty good?
Really good today, actually.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
It's a beautiful day out there.
22 degrees and sunny.
It's just a shame that it feels like I've been roundhouse kicked 4 times by Dolph Lundgren.
What did you do?
In the head.
Were you on the what do you call, what do you call them?
I was bashing the cat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bashing the cat.
I had a few electric soups last night. Because I'm the electric Superman.
You sound exactly like when I was over in Scotland.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, let me tell you a little bit about that, laddie.
They actually sound like that.
No, they don't.
Proper.
They sound better than that because that's their actual accent. But
no, they don't.
You always pump up my tires so much. Thanks, man. Anyways, welcome everybody. It's episode 10 of Dog Ugly Dudes Talking Dogs, and we're here again with you for another week. We're excited. We are back to our regular programming today, where we've got our Dog Ugly topic of the week. We got our breed of the week. We got a special one, and then we have Big Kahuna's Mailbag.
I don't remember asking you a goddamn thing.
But you told us anyway, didn't you, Josh?
Yeah. I always, whenever I put down the soundboard in front of you now, it's like, I had high hopes. I had real high hopes, and
I can't help myself. One of my favorites.
A little bit of jazz flute. Yeah, I just turned our mics up. I was wondering why we sounded a bit quiet, but yeah, just give it a test in there.
What do you want me to test?
I want you to try and get up to the green.
Oh, yeah.
See if you can bring your mic just a little bit closer.
Oh, God.
Sorry, man.
Make everything difficult. Yep, I'm there now.
Oh, that's a bit better. That's a bit better. But anyways.
I've got a soft voice compared to you.
Yeah, but your voice is so much nicer.
Do you know Alan Almond?
Alan the Almond?
It's a kid's show.
Is he a little nutty?
Back. Oh! I accidentally pressed telephone there. That's what I was going for.
Oh,
my hand-eye coordination
Jesus.
is off.
Oh, my God. All right.
Alan Almond was the late night radio talk show guy. And
yeah.
Oh, listen, everybody. He was like a real weirdo that way. So.
A real weirdo.
Yeah.
But you're not a weirdo, but you got like a velvet voice.
Oh, man. All right, well, let's get stuck into this.
All right, we got a very special intro song for everybody this week. This was composed and sort of made by Big Kahuna.
It wasn't. It was Josh.
It was.
I thought you were going to say yours truly.
I should have. But this is by you. This is your work.
I wish it was.
All right. Oh, it's a bit tasty.
It is.
Because we love reggae, don't we?
Oh, so much.
Yeah. All right. Sit back, relax, get yourselves your favorite beverage, because we're coming back. Well, we are back. Talking to you. Dog Ugly Dudes Talking Dogs, episode 10. Hope you all enjoy, ladies and gentlemen. How did you play that trumpet? Was Cassie losing her mind?
Truly good work again.
What do you mean?
You're going to keep trying to toot my horn.
Yeah, don't toot your own horn, you dickhead. Alrighty. Woo!
Alright. What are we talking about?
Well, Dog Ugly topic of the week. You know what else is funny? I was thinking, the other day I was listening to a heap of episodes just to be like, wow, we're so shit. And we always used to introduce Dog Ugly topic of the week with that, how we used to do it. You know, this topic is Dog Ugly. And we've just, it's naturally evolved so that we don't do that. Anyways.
We didn't even decide not to.
No, we
do
didn't
it.
decide. It was just like,
this is
yeah, we evolved. Yeah. It's like, nah, I don't wear those pants anymore. I'm too big for them
Yeah.
because I'm a big boy.
I don't wear my pants anymore because I'm too fat for them. It's a little different.
I just wear muumuus everywhere I go. So much more comfortable.
Oh, of course.
Anyways, what are we talking about?
Actually, we're talking about how stress affects learning. In
Yep.
dogs. Well, we're talking about it in dogs, but it's for everybody.
Yeah, it applies to, I would say it applies to pretty much
Every
any living organism.
Mm-hmm. And probably, I guess, one of the things that you have to think about is some stress is good. So
Yeah.
creating a little bit of stress, that's how we evolve and all that sort of stuff. But too much stress actually impedes the learning.
Exactly. Or you go one, like if the stress is way too high, then they're going to learn about it in a negative context and forever it's going to be negative.
Yeah, depending on what you're doing.
Exactly. But
yeah.
like the old example of like, post-traumatic stress disorder and stuff. That's like a huge exposure to stress in the one hit. And if it's too much, then you're going to be that's going to be tarnished forever sort of thing. But
yeah, and that creates like a traumatic event, and then it floods back in later dates when other things remind you of it. And obviously, you don't even have to be back in the same situation again, and it comes back. So it ends up. You can see how that, if that's happening with humans, you can see how that can also happen with dogs, and how that can carry over into places that we don't want it to, especially if we're talking about working dogs. But in this case, we're not really. I'm going to talk about it in the form of
just your average pet.
Well, and a case that I have come across recently is this. Whoa.
Yeah, I turn
hello,
you up a
everyone.
bit so that you can sit back there.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Well, that's
There's
too
going to be a
high
little
now.
bit of tinkering. There we go. How's that?
That's good. So there's a case that I've come across with this little fluffy white dog.
Mm-hmm.
He's had a traumatic experience.
Something's happened to him.
Yeah, in his past. So the client that I have, they got him when he was about 1.
Yeah.
And they've been battling with this stress for a long time with him.
Okay.
He's super, super anxious. He's on medication for it and that sort of stuff. But even with that, his stress level was quite high.
Mm-hmm.
Potentially the medication is battling the wrong type of stress. It's hard to say. But
yeah.
The amount of times that I've gone in brought the stress level down to a reasonable amount and got the dog doing things, quite well. I'm trying to desensitize him specifically to men.
Okay.
Because he has a real problem with that.
Yep.
And the amount of times that I've gone in there, he's totally stressed out, calms down. By the end of the session, he's quite good, doing, counter conditioning and all that sort of stuff, which is just exposing them to the stimulus and rewarding them for it, being around it and that sort of stuff. Trying to make them feel like being around this bad stimulus is actually not so bad. It's actually brings good things, that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So trying to do that with him. And, if you look at each session, you'd go, wow, this dog's coming along.
Yep.
Each session, if you look at it. But if you look at the change over time, there's like 0.
Yeah.
So it's a very, very short-term change. And essentially, he doesn't remember anything that happened in the last session.
He's not retaining the information.
Yes, and that's because the stress level was so high, he can't retain...
Yep.
His brain can't make connections that allow him to retain the knowledge that he's gained from that previous session.
That's right.
And it's, it is a very, very real thing when you're doing your training. If you have a dog that's got anxiety or something like that...
Yep.
Don't be surprised if their learning is massively impeded.
Exactly. And it can manifest in a number of different ways and may not always be in plain sight for the owner to see, identify and understand that that's how the dog is feeling at the time.
Absolutely.
Until you spend a lot of time with your dog and then you learn its tells and its physical signature traits that give away that, I'm feeling this particular way and, maybe it might not be the right time for training or maybe we need to do more counter conditioning in this area or, might need to switch the positivity bias in the training.
Yes. You know, I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
I think it's overlooked sometimes. People think, oh, this is my way of training, and let's say you're probably not going to run into this very often with the positive only stuff.
No,
but if you're doing anything that requires any sort of like aversives or anything like that at all, and you're not creating a positive bias, then the training becomes a stressful activity.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then everybody gets frustrated because the dog is now in a stressed state of mind, and now they're not learning as quickly.
Nobody's winning.
Exactly. No one's winning in that situation.
And we said this the other day. I think I was driving back from Melbourne or something in the car, and we were having a chat over the phone, and I was like, since we've started this podcast and we've sat down, and it's made me think more critically about how I do my training and I conduct it, and I was like, you know what? Like, I try and opt for force-free, or like as much force-free training as I can. And you and I both work with like hard dogs.
Yeah.
Excuse my like little voice.
Your body forgot that you've gone through puberty and was just like,
yeah. But when we first started this, admittedly, I was very much in the, those that preach the positive only training, it's a bit of a cop out, but I now see it for what it is and the merits of it.
Well, this is the thing that bugs me about the positive only mentality is they take anybody who doesn't think positive only is the only way, and they say you're no good. So we do 99% of our training is positive.
Yes.
Right? And in all of our training, we maintain a positive bias. Mm-hmm. So the dogs love doing the training. Yes, there may be corrections here and there, but for the most part, the dogs they come out and they just love to train because it's all positive. So on occasion, if they get a correction or we tell them that they're not doing the right thing, then that's we can no longer class ourselves as positive only.
Yeah.
But you take that training and someone who's looking at that's a positive only trainer is going to say, oh, but you use corrections. Yeah, but it's they're not taking it for what it is. It's an extremist view. Yeah,
exactly. It's that 1 in 20 time or 1 in whatever it may be, but that's how it is. And like you said, 99% of the time we're opting for positive only training because that's the way that the dogs are learning most effectively.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Because they're motivated. They know that there's that big prize at the end of the tunnel, and it's not a stressful environment.
That's right.
But you have to teach them right from wrong in some circumstances, and in a lot of ways that right from wrong can't be taught using a positive reinforcement, like a positive reinforcer. It's the old adage of, don't touch the stove if it's on because you're going to get burnt.
Yes.
That's how you're going to learn right from wrong.
And you can tell them not to do it, and then if they go and do it, then they get burnt, and then that's the positive punishment.
Yeah, that's the positive punishment. Like we've actually discussed in the terminology thing, I think.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
But just so, because people might be confused listening, how would the stress manifest in a lot of people with just their pet dogs, and when people are doing regular training with their dogs? How would it sort of manifest? Like, what are certain scenarios that you could see and you've seen when you've been working with dogs that
inadvertently can
create stress? Yes, exactly. Yeah. Like
this one I see quite often with people that are just a little unsure about how, what's going on with their dogs. So what they'll do is they won't give clear guidance as to what they want the dog to do.
This is exactly where I wanted you to go.
Yeah, so they won't give them clear guidance as to what they want, and then they are telling them what they don't want. Right?
Yes.
So the dogs create it, they're in conflict and there's stress because as soon as there's conflict, there's generally some stress involved. So they're conflicted about trying to get what they want, but not knowing how to get it,
yes,
and trying all these different things, and nothing is working.
Yep.
And then they get corrected for things that even if it's not like a, you're not using a leash correction or anything like that. You're just yelling at them or something like that to say stop doing that or whatever.
Yeah, or you're withholding
things that
exactly,
they want.
And
you are, because you are withholding things even if you don't know you are, because maybe they want your attention and they're trying different things to get your attention, and you're withholding the attention, not even on purpose necessarily. You don't even realize that that's what the dog's doing. And for an example would be dogs that's jumping up on you. They want your attention, So if you constantly giving them trouble for jumping up on you, but you're not giving them another way to get that attention, that's going to create a stressful environment, and you're not creating a positive bias.
Yes.
So what I encourage people to do in that sort of situation is, don't wait for the dog to come to you and try and give you attention or try and get attention from you. Watch the dog just throughout its day, and when it's giving you something that you like, go and give it attention. Like
giving you a behavior like you like. So that might be lying on its bed nicely, or just like
literally just walking around.
Yeah,
not doing anything bad.
Yeah, and then it's a random like if I just like cruise about and I'm chill and I'm in the house and I'm not causing a ruckus, like mum or dad is going to come up and we're going to have a good time.
Exactly. And one of the things with that can save a lot of trouble with even we'll stick with that example so that it's easy. It's hard to deal with things that if you don't have the dog from a puppy, but if you start this stuff as from puppies where jumping up on you is not okay, doesn't mean you have to punish them for it or anything. You just don't give them anything for it.
Yeah.
Dogs will try things in order to see if it's going to work, and then if as from a puppy they've jumped on you 10 times and it's never done anything good for them and they've just gotten nothing for it, but when they sit down in front of you or they lay down on the ground randomly, all of a sudden you run over there and you give them all this attention, well, they're just not even going to see jumping up as a useful tool.
Yeah, it's not anything that's going to get them any sort of success.
That's right. It's only when for the first 7 months of their life they've been able to, even if you're pushing them down or telling them no or whatever, if that's the only attention they're getting from you, then they're happy with that.
Yep.
It's better than nothing.
Yeah, it's better.
So they end up going, okay, it becomes an established behavior. And then to fix it, it's, I'll go into a client and I'll say, just ignore the dog. And the dog has got such an established behavior of jumping up on them that when they go to ignore them, the dog has an extinction burst, which is, jumping up.
Yeah, it's going to try everything in its power. Scraping.
All sorts of different things.
Whining,
going mental. And then they can't handle that. So then they go to push the dog down. And then now they've just
inadvertently reinforced it.
And they've rewarded the extinction burst now.
Yep.
So those are the instances where, for the sake of the dog, putting some sort of mild aversive in actually helps the whole situation. So making that jumping up not as valuable for them in the first place. And then you start seeing other behaviors because they stop doing the jumping up, and then you have something that you can reward.
Exactly.
So the trick when you're trying to break those behaviors is to elicit a behavior that you can reward, right?
Yes.
In those same situations.
Yep.
But starting from a puppy, then you don't even have to worry about that. All this stuff with the stress and everything like that, getting back to that, really comes down to giving the dog things that they can do to get what they want.
That's right.
And without you having to tell them to do it.
Yeah.
That's one of the biggest things for me. Not telling the dog sit, not telling the dog to stop jumping on me, not telling, like when someone comes in the door, I want them to just not jump, not because I've told them not to do it, because then in the absence of you telling them, then they're still going to jump.
Yeah.
Right. So I want them to know that if I do this, or this, then that's what's going to get me rewards. And the way to do that is to just, without telling them, wait for it, and when you get what you want, then reward it.
Yeah, for sure. I want to sort of not change the topic, but put it into a perspective from a human perspective.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to think of when you're at school, because I was thinking about this the other day, and I can rattle off the lessons and the teachers and stuff that I had where I actually learnt stuff in class because they had a certain way of engaging the class or engaging the student. Like, but I remember, I remember teachers that were just like, I just can't learn off you because you just like yelling all the time, or, you know, if you put your hand up and you get the question wrong, you like pick to pieces because that's, you know, so if a dog does something and it does it wrong, and then you're like give it a verbal, like no, or, you know, you're getting frustrated at it. Like the dog's like, well, what's the point in this?
Yeah, because they can't work out
because
how to fix it.
And that's what school was like.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
for me, it's like they were my teachers that I had, and I was like, well, I get on with you, like you're cool, you know, you're understanding, and you can deliver the topic and the subject, and you can make it easily available for
your brain to be able,
my brain to be able to process it and learn it, because I'm not stressed in here.
Absolutely.
I'm not. I'm enjoying my time. And then you'd go to biology. Miss Jeffries, I hope you're listening, you little bitch. One day she kicked me out of biology because, like, and this is she thought I was being a smartass, and she's like, we were talking about natural habitats of certain animals, and like she's going around the class and she's like, okay, so like a native barn owl, what would be the natural habitat of a barn owl? Josh. And I was like, a barn. And she's like, get the fuck out. Dead set. I was like, oh my God. Like, what's the point?
Yeah, what's the point?
What is the point?
Absolutely.
You know? So I want you to, like, the listeners out there to go and think about that.
I'm going to tell you an example for me.
Do it. Go.
Because I've got an example that, to this day, if I'm in a classroom or if I'm in some sort of like learning, you know, any type of learning environment, if this is the case, I'm out. Yep. So remember when the teacher would, like, you know, you'd be going through a textbook or something like that, and the teacher would have each person read? Yes.
Certain, like a paragraph or a sentence.
And you had to keep going through?
Yes.
I remember, because I used to hate reading in front of people. Hated
it.
More than anything.
Yeah.
And as soon as it started, my stress level and anxiety level went through the roof.
Exactly.
Okay. Yes. So this would be like let's say like a half-hour session of
reading from the textbook.
Yeah. I would, as soon as it started, I would count the paragraphs, and I would count the people, and I would find which paragraph was going to be mine.
Yeah, so that you could practice it.
And I would practice my paragraph. Yeah. And this is a really good insight into me and
no, but it's
my
cool.
insecurities.
It's cool. Yeah, no, but it's real cool. It's good.
So, and do you think I remember one thing about any of those sessions other than
the fear
you don't,
of it? Because all you're doing is focusing on what you have to get right.
Yeah. And the only thing I remember about any of those types of sessions is the fear of those sessions.
Exactly. That's right.
That's it.
That's what and now we take that template and we move it across to dogs who think even more simplistically than we do. Mm-hmm. Okay? So we want to make it from the very get-go that we start our relationship with our dogs to make it have that positivity bias.
That's right. So when you're around,
and yes, it's
happy.
Exactly. And it's not going to be possible in every scenario and every situation. But if we can create that positivity bias so that, you know, it's in the favor of the dog and they're like chomping at the bit to do it. Mm-hmm. You know, as soon as my dogs get out of the kennel in the morning, they run straight over and pick a ball out of the basket. Mm-hmm. And they're like, all right, it's on. It's retrieve time. And that's what we do for over an hour.
Yeah.
You know, and they always have fun doing it, and they don't stop until I kennel them again. And there isn't a lot of corrections or anything going on in that time. It's literally just them figuring out ways in which to make it better. Mm-hmm. So they've self-shaped a lot of behaviors. The retrieve is self-shaped. Now, this is another example. I know a lot of people, so we'll just stop there for a second. But I know a lot of people in the hunting dog community, and one of the first things they do with their dogs as puppies is train the forced retrieve or the forced hold. And I'm like, that is ridiculous, because you're applying stress. No dog wants to have something stuck in its mouth until you say let it go, because it's uncomfortable. Imagine if someone stuck their hand in your mouth and they're like, hold it there until I tell you to stop, otherwise you're going to get a correction. As a puppy, which is more or less has the brain of a 3 or 4 year old, do you think that they're going to enjoy
Yeah, exactly.
hunting later on or doing those activities later on, possibly because it's in their genes. That is
if you're lucky.
If you're lucky.
Yeah.
But more often than not, you hear these stories about like hunters, and they're like, the dog was no good.
Yeah.
It's like, well, maybe you should try a different approach. Maybe it should be like introducing it to something that they enjoy doing, as opposed to, you will do this because I said so.
I'm a firm believer in get them used to doing the retrieve and enjoying the retrieve and having a really fun time, and then make it do soft holds.
Yes.
So that they learn to retrieve softly instead of, and not make it, retrieving is just going and getting, not going and tearing up.
But the whole point of the retrieve is that they're having such a good time doing it.
Yeah, exactly.
And you watch Scoobs. So I taught him to retrieve from water. Initially, he hated the water.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was a situation where I wanted him to get in the water because it was a hot day, and I was like, you need to cool down. And he just wouldn't. Even though he was hot, he wouldn't jump in there, and he wouldn't go anywhere near the water. And I was like, well, I need to figure out a way to make this positive for you.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, well, you love the ball, Joey, and having Joe there to show him and mentor him and stuff like that was good as well. But incorporating what he enjoyed so much with that negative stimulus that he didn't like has turned it into something that he actively seeks out now. You saw him out there before. As soon as he jumps out,
you would never know that.
Yeah,
he runs and jumps into the thing to see if there's a ball in there.
To see if there's a ball in there.
Yeah.
And
now,
it's a full, like, I've just set it up with, so storage containers, like the storage tubs, like the 120 litre storage tubs. I started off with a 60 litre storage tub that was translucent. You could see inside it. He could see that the ball was in the bottom of it. There were a few inches of water at the bottom. And I threw the ball in there, and he had to jump in and get it. And then we moved up to bigger tubs, ones that he couldn't see inside from the side, and he had to jump in, submerge himself and investigate and pick the ball up. And now, if you saw him do it, you'd be like, wow.
He looks like a bloody duck.
Yeah, he looks like a duck.
It's hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's an example, actually, of counter conditioning as well. So that's where, you're associating something positive with something that was originally something that wasn't that appealing to them,
mm-hmm.
or potentially a little bit fearful and stress involved with it, in the beginning.
Exactly.
And it's a way of countering that stress.
Yeah.
So it's actually a good example of both things, creating a positive bias in your training as well as counter conditioning to mild forms of stress.
That's right.
But I guess to summarize the whole thing, when you're doing training, keeping in mind that the stress levels of your dog and trying to work out. Now, I don't want to be saying this to a point where people are out, self diagnosing their dogs with anxiety disorders. You know what I mean?
Not at all. Yeah.
But obviously, that is certainly a possibility with some dogs that things like separation related anxiety and that sort of thing.
Yep.
If people find that their dogs aren't learning really well and they're not changing those behaviors, even though they're trying things, that's probably why it's too stressful for them at the time. So just
exactly
when
right.
you're doing your training and all that, keeping in mind that stress levels need to be managed. And
exactly right. And can I just add here, we spoke about contextual learning a few weeks ago. Contextual learning and the stress of the dog in that new context can play a huge role in how well they're going to learn it.
Absolutely.
Would you say so?
Yes,
yep.
Definitely.
So it's important to understand that contextual learning as well as understand that there may be stress that goes in for the dog trying to learn in that new environment, and you may have to manage that and slowly bridge that gap.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So stress is a real thing in dogs, and it's not to be overlooked, basically.
Definitely. Absolutely, mate. And before we started this, I always knew that. I always knew that it had to be a positivity bias, and they had to enjoy training, and you have to enjoy doing it. It's very similar in a way to, say, a father wants his son to play football, although the kid has no desire to play football whatsoever, because all those times that he's gone to football, it's been such a negative experience.
Too much pressure.
Too much pressure. Yeah. Like, he doesn't like it, or he or she doesn't like it. It's just not enjoyable. It may be things such as the kid's too young and they don't like being out in the cold.
Yeah. And
that it could be that little thing that you've overlooked as a parent, and you're like, well, maybe that's why he or she's not enjoying it.
Mm-hmm. Well, you see it all the time with kids that are like really, really good at a sport.
Yeah.
And then they don't like playing it because there was too much pressure put on them when they were playing it. So they don't associate it with fun. They associate it with,
I have to do this.
And it's stressful.
Yeah.
Because if I don't do well, then I'm, going to be in trouble for it or whatever.
That's right.
So again, what it really comes down to is that stress is a valid thing that your dog will be feeling, just like humans. And you can't just think, oh, they're dogs, they'll get over it or whatever.
Yep.
Most of the things that happen in the human brain regarding learning also happen in dog brains.
Yep.
So if you think about, mental illness and that sort of stuff as well, all those things can be taken into account. And some dogs do have mental illness, which we'll talk about with that little breed of the week dog.
Yes, we will. Yes, we will. We certainly will. Do you want to cover off on anything else?
There's too much. There's so much again to cover on this topic.
Yeah.
But over time, I think it'll come up here and there, and we'll go into more in depth with it and that sort of stuff.
Okay. All right. Well. Oh, hold on.
What the?
Hold on. You wouldn't believe who this is. It's George Bush.
Shut up.
It's George Bush.
Shut
up.
Hold
on. Wait, what do we got here?
Wow, I cannot believe this.
I can't believe it either. Georgie, I hope you haven't pocket dialed me by mistake, mate. Thanks for calling Dog Ugly Dudes, Talking Dogs. Tell us what you've been up to, mate. Tell us and the listeners out there.
Last night, Jeb and I had some crabs.
Crabs are delicious, yeah?
With, members of the 1972 Miami Dolphins.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Dan Marino and his really dynamic wife.
That certainly is interesting. I had to convince Big Kahuna that it was actually you on the phone. He didn't believe me at all.
I know the human being and fish can coexist peacefully.
Yeah. But you're a big fan of dogs, and I hear that you're a bit of a fan of Dog Ugly Dudes Talking Dogs, and we really appreciate it. Can you give us a little anecdote about you and your dogs, or?
I'm not telling you nothing.
Georgie! Georgie, money! You are crazy. You're on the stubloons again, aren't you? You've had a bit to drink.
I'm sober.
No, you're not. I don't believe that for a single second, my friend. But I'm not going to look down on you, Georgie, if you've had a few stubs, considering how much Big Kahuna and I enjoy to rip the lid off an electric soup. And I don't think you've met Big Kahuna before, and he's pretty keen to say hi.
Yeah, it's an absolute pleasure to meet you, George.
People don't know this, but my daughter Jenna and you are good buddies.
I didn't know that, Kahuna.
Jenna? Yeah. I don't have a real good buddy named Jenna.
So my attitude is, if you're a good buddy of Jenna, you're a good buddy of mine.
Well, fair enough.
You are hammered. You are shit hammered. Anyways, I want you to tell us a little bit about that little dog. I can't remember his name. Boris Beetroot.
Barney.
Yeah.
You remember Barney, the
yeah.
Scottish Terrier?
Yeah, I remember Barney.
Yeah.
The big bustling bad boy Barney. He was quite a character. And a tough little son of a bitch.
Expect him to be tough.
You certainly do. I expect my dogs to be tough little characters. Well, I guess that just all comes down to good breeding in the end, doesn't it, mate? Wouldn't you tend to agree on that one there?
Kinda.
I think there was a time, though, that you got a little duped by a breeder way back. You want to share your thoughts on that? Because I remember you were pretty upset.
There's an old saying in Tennessee. I know it's in Texas, probably in Tennessee. That says, fool me once.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Shame on... Yep. Shame on you.
Shame on you.
Yes.
Yes, that's it.
That's it.
That's the first bit.
Fool me, we can't get fooled again.
That's not it. George, I think you're on something a little bit harder than the old 4X Gold. In fact, I'm almost certain. I can smell it coming through the telephone right now. But let's get serious for a second, if your brain can take it. We want to talk about e-collars.
Yeah, well, I mean, I just kind of want to ask the question. Over here in Australia, we have a bit of a thing going on in the media, and they're painting it out to be the e-collars are real bad, and they're going to try and do an all-time ban and everything. And I know they're having some issues with that over in the U.S. as well. And I just wanted to know your thoughts on it.
Well, I think this isn't the first time our nation's ever been divided.
Yeah.
I remember what it was like when I got out of college.
Did they even have e-collars?
There was the Vietnam War and a draft. There were major race riots. There was political assassinations. The president was nearly impeached. And a lot of people thought the country was going down the tubes, and it turns out we're too strong to go down the tubes. And I didn't like it sometimes when people said things that about me, but that's the job.
Yeah, that's true, George.
That has nothing to do with what we just asked you about. But I love you too much to put you down. I can't do it. So thanks. But last I spoke to you, George, you had successfully trained Barney to retrieve your slippers. Have you thought about training him to maybe be proficient in some other task that will be useful? Or?
I met an onion grower today at the airport when I arrived.
Yep.
And he said, you got to help me find people that'll pull onions.
Oh, yeah.
Pluck them or whatever you do with them.
Yeah, I don't know what you do with them. But so maybe you're thinking about turning little Barney the Scottish Terrier into somewhat of a...
little onion picker.
Onion picker slash...
puller slash whatever you do with them?
Yeah, plucker or retriever. Is that what you're saying? Or?
Did I say those words?
Yep, never mind, mate. We've obviously lost you. But can you tell us a little bit about the dog painting portraits that you've sort of started up on the side there? Or
get a little bored?
Yeah, as you do.
How can I fight evil? You can do so.
Yeah.
By mentoring a child. By going into a shut-in's house and say, I love you. I said, I damn sure can. And so she said, paint my dog. So I was a pet portrait painter. Fighting evil.
Yeah.
Yeah, you sure are, George.
You sure are. Wow.
But it's all for a pretty good cause, isn't it, George? So why don't you just tell us a little bit about where the money's going?
Money, the proceeds, go to this program to help our vets.
Well, good on you, George. That's straight from your golden heart. But what I really want, I want you to tell Kahuna the story about when Barney got your handgun out of the glove compartment of your car and just the calamity that ensued shortly after that. Can you tell me just a little bit about... Well, tell the story.
Yeah, kind of.
All right, go for it.
What really irritated me about that is he shot the only trial lawyer for me. I'm going to drop a big word on you.
Okay.
This is people that want to come and kill your families.
Yeah.
And the best way to protect you is to get information. See, we've acted on information they've given us to prevent attacks.
Is that what Barney
George,
was doing?
This isn't make-believe.
George.
Let me finish.
No.
I know the human being and fish can coexist peacefully.
He's gone full circle,
Josh. You're on that. You're in the paranoia scale of whatever it is you're taking right now. I need you to go get a cold face washer, lie down. All right, put your feet up.
I'm not telling you nothing.
You definitely pocket dialed us. Yeah, there's no two ways about it. Thanks for calling anyway, big fella. It was great to talk to you again. Hopefully you'll call us on Dog Ugly Dudes Talking Dogs again soon. How about that, Kahuna?
I can't believe it.
You can't believe it?
I cannot believe it.
Well, there you go. I told you I was friends with some people in high places.
Well, and apparently I'm friends with Jenny.
Yeah.
So.
Jenna.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Of course.
Jenny.
Jenna.
Oh, man. Unbelievable.
That is crazy.
Can you believe that?
He just rings in.
I know.
I can't believe it.
Well, I'm pretty sure he pocket dialed us, like I said.
And then he just started like, oh, who's this I'm talking to a little bit. Yeah.
It's still great to have, someone that's so prominent in history listen to the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Well, you know what I thought was a bit funny there? He's doing these pet portrait paintings.
Yeah.
And, he's giving the money to the part of the industry that has the most money. He's giving them to the veterinarians.
That makes no sense.
Unbelievable.
To me. That makes zero sense.
But that's okay.
But,
that's all right.
that's his way of being generous.
He's
so
trying his best.
We can't begrudge him of that.
No, definitely not.
Anyways, you know what time it is? It's coming up. It's Breed of the Week.
I don't know what breed that it could be. Maybe a Whippet or a small Bichon Frise. But if you stick around, you will see. 'Cause it's time for Breed of the Week. I don't know what breed that it could be. Maybe a Labrador or a Basenji. But if you stick around, you will see. 'Cause it's time for Breed of the Week.
Hot damn.
Man.
Hot damn. All right. Breed of the week this week is a particular breed that we covered off on, for those of you that have been here from the get-go, from the very beginning, the inception of Dog Ugly Dudes Talking Dogs. We did an episode, our first ever one, and it was really bad. And in that episode, we spoke about a breed that we haven't covered off on again since. Though we should have by now.
We should have, but, you know.
And Emily and Patty from Paddington in Brisbane, because they're good friends of mine, and they own one of these dogs, have been breathing hot fire down my neck. And I promised you, I said it'd be in episode 10, and here it is. It is the Nova Scotian duck tolling retriever. Can we just get some... There we go. A little bit of applause. Woohoo! And there's a barky. Oh, so many sound effects.
Wow.
So little time. It's just beautiful. But anyways, I'm going to read you guys a little bit of history from the petwave.com. Because they've covered off on it nicely.
Oh, beautifully.
Guys.
Really nice.
But for those of you that don't know what a Nova Scotia duck tolling retriever looks like, it's like a fun-sized Mars bar version of a golden retriever.
Yes.
That's what I reckon.
With a little bit of a long snout.
Long snoot.
And a funny, fluffy little head.
Yeah, he's got that. He and she has that. Well, she and he has that fluffy. Yeah, they have that fluffy little
They have
head.
a word for those two
Yeah.
things.
Do you know they got rid of our poo on The Simpsons?
No.
Oh, it's political correctness gone mad.
Oh,
and I don't care if people are like, yeah, racist.
You said
Yep.
she, and it could have been a he.
Yeah, it could have been a he, could have been a she.
Could have been a...
Don't assume that dog's gender. I'll be like, come here. I'm going to roundhouse kick the shit out of you. Oh, man. Just crazy.
So, moving along.
Yeah. So it's like a fun-sized Mars bar version of the golden retriever. And traditionally they were a hunting dog. Here we go. We're into the history. Should you read the history today?
No.
Okay.
Because I won't learn anything.
That's even better than synonym buns.
Yeah.
That's even better than synonym buns. You are a comedic genius. All right, here we go. History. Not surprisingly, the Nova Scotia duck tolling retriever was developed in Nova Scotia to toll. And that doesn't mean sit at a weighbridge. Like, as cars go past and say, that'll be $1.80. Or if it's from Nova Scotia, oh, that'll be $1.80, hey? Toll means to entice or lure, and they were also bred to retrieve waterfowl. The toller has been used as a domestic decoy dog since the early 1800s, particularly in the Little River district of Yarmouth County. Did I say that right, Kahuna?
Yarmouth?
Yarmouth? You got this dog in your mouth?
Yarmouth.
Oh, okay. In southwestern Nova Scotia. The toller's unique hunting style involves scampering, jumping, leaping, and twirling along the shoreline with great animation, but without barking. I just imagine it like it's dancing to girls just want to have fun. They just wanna.
Sadly, I'm kind of in that same zone.
Tollers just wanna have fun.
And knowing them, they actually kind of are like
Yeah,
that.
they probably would dance to that.
Definitely.
Oh,
Interpretive dance.
Now I've lost where I'm up to.
Oh, that's all right.
Oh, yeah, without barking. Often, they chase and retrieve tolling sticks and balls tossed by their master, returning them to the blind with exaggerated prancing, wiggling, and tail wagging. Now, I'll briefly explain a blind for those that aren't,
Murderers.
Yeah, aren't murderers. Or aren't versed in the ways of hunting. A blind is somewhere where a hunter sets up, usually camouflaged. They'll jump in there, they'll observe their target area and wait for their game animal to come into that target area. And when it's in there, it'll be sprung, in this case for the waterfowls, and then they'll shoot it.
Yes. Yeah.
That's what a blind is.
Yeah.
In different contexts in hunting, it's different. Well, not really, because they're all pretty much the same. You're all you're concealed looking at an environment where the game animals can't see you, and then you're taking advantage of.
In Canada, I don't know if you have duck blinds here, but like a duck blind here is like they build a little shack on the edge of the water.
Yeah,
that
and they're still set. They just leave them there.
Yeah, they stay there. Yeah, and then they put like reeds and things around them to
camouflage it up. Yep. Often chase. Yep. Yeah, prancing, wiggling, and tail wagging. What a fun little dude and little girl. All of this activity at water's edge arouses the curiosity of ducks and other waterfowl resting offshore, which often begin to hiss and beat the water with their wings.
So they're getting agitated.
Yeah.
It's a little different than what I thought originally.
Yeah, same.
They're agitating the ducks and making them come over because they're agitated. I thought it was like, the ducks are intrigued by it and just going over to say hello.
There could be a little bit of intrigue in there. There could be a little bit of intrigue.
I've never seen a duck hiss at me that was just like, oh, hey, how's it going?
Oh, man, I got a story about ducks. It's too long, but long story short, before I went to Afghanistan, in case I never came back, I bought Mum 2 ducks. And Mum was like, oh, these ducks are so good. And then I wasn't there for them to grow up. I was overseas. And then I just kept getting like phone calls and stuff from Mum when I got to talk to her, or messages on Facebook and stuff. And the ducks were becoming increasingly harder to manage to the point where she couldn't go out and hang the clothes on the line because they'd peck her legs and make her bleed.
What a beautiful gift,
what
son.
A beautiful gift. And then I got back, and one day, my buddy and I, Ben Thorpe, he's an absolute legend. He's got 2 giant schnauzers.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
Cool dogs. And we had to take the afternoon off work, which is like a thing that doesn't happen. No, I think we went at lunchtime, so we had like a short window. We had to be back for a certain timing, otherwise we were in trouble. And then we had to go and capture these ducks and take them back to the produce place, and we had to pay the produce place $25
to take
per
them back.
Duck.
We'll pay
so
you
it
to take these ducks.
ended up costing me
twice.
The investment was bad. Anyway,
that's why people.
So where we were up to is, we'll read that back. All this activity at water's edge arouses the curiosity of ducks and other waterfowl resting offshore, which often begin to hiss and beat the water with their wings. The dog often disappears from sight and then suddenly appears in a different area, further fanning the duck's interest.
Jesus.
Yeah, so they're the only dog that can teleport. Could you imagine the ducks? It's like
holy shit.
Holy shit, Gary, did you see that? Wow. He just went from there to there. Hey, Sharon. Hey, Sharon, you got to come and see this. What are you talking about?
Only one of them actually sounds like a duck.
Yeah, only one of them sounds like a duck. The other is like a human-duck hybrid. The toller must maintain their enthusiasm without peering at the fowl as they move closer, for however long it takes to draw them in. Their antics eventually lure the birds increasingly closer to land, until they are within gunshot range of the hidden hunter. When the birds are close enough for a good aim, the hunter emerges from concealment, and as the ducks panic into the sky, they take their shot. The toller is then sent to retrieve the downed birds. The Nova Scotia duck tolling retriever has a mixed ancestry. Cocker spaniels, Irish setters, farm collies, and small Spitz-like dogs probably were crossed with various retrievers, including the Golden, the Chesapeake, the Labrador, and the Flatcoat, to create the toller. It was not until 1945 that formal breed standards were introduced, and the dog gained official recognition by the Canadian Kennel Club.
I'm going to stop you there for a sec. What breeds are those ones? Are decoy dogs? None
are decoy dogs.
How did it become a decoy dog? I don't understand.
I think they just would have identified that it's good at it, and they're like, well, we'll continue breeding along the lines of this to.
None of those other dogs do any of it. So the fact that it even popped up it's a funny little trait to have.
An anomaly, and then they capitalized on it.
Yeah.
So they would have probably line bred on top of that. By line breeding, probably breeding the father back to a daughter, sort of thing, and people will be like, "Oh my God, it's horrible."
Which is not the same in dog world.
Yeah, it's not the same in dog world. It's not that counterproductive. No. For humans, it's highly counterproductive. Extremely. But with dogs, it's not so much. And people out there will be like, "That's not true."
So essentially, they were like,
"True."
They were like,
"I'll fight you."
They're like, "Hang on, these dogs can lure the ducks in. We won't need to bring. We won't need to bring any bread with us anymore."
Yeah. Look at him teleporting. Look at him dance. So versatile, eh?
This is amazing.
Can hunt with us. Can provide us entertainment later on. Dance for me, sugar tits. That's what all your countrymen sound like.
Yeah, that's what we say when we go to the strip clubs.
Oh.
And this is the music.
Just that on repeat. Where is it? Where's the jazz flute? Just kidding. There's someone at the campfire though, like playing that, like on the jazz flute, like Ron Burgundy, and then the dog's just like hula hoop dancing with enthusiasm.
Oh, of course.
Alrighty. Where did we get up to? It was not until 1945 that formal breed standards were introduced, and the dogs gained official recognition by the Canadian Kennel Club. Although a few tollers trickled into America during the 1960s, international recognition did not come until the 1980s. The Nova Scotia Duck Tolling Retriever Club was formed in 1984, and the breed was accepted into the American Kennel Club's miscellaneous class in the middle of 2001.
Miscellaneous?
Yeah, miscellaneous.
Oh. They're not really
Well, these guys are great dancers. We don't have a dancing class. Maybe these dogs would be really good doggy dancers. You know that sport now?
Yeah.
I have to ask Drew.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know.
I haven't spoken to him in ages.
I'm pretty close with one of these dogs, and I guess
you are skeptical.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that's the word, skeptical?
Skeptical, yeah.
My brain's not working.
Maybe.
Yeah, so tollers became eligible to compete in AKC hunt tests, or American Kennel Club hunt tests, in 2002, and the American Kennel Club fully accepted tollers into the sporting group in 2003.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
So now they're in the sporting group. So they were in miscellaneous because they're like, they're not really good for anything.
Yeah, who knows what these guys do, guys and gals. The Nova Scotia Duck Tolling Retriever Club was accepted as an AKC member and parent club in 2005. I don't know much about when they first came to Australia. All I know is that there's a breeder, she breeds them and field tests them in Bendigo or near Bendigo.
Mm.
Yeah. I don't think there's a lot of breeders of Nova Scotia Duck Tolling Retrievers in the country.
No.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, because they're pretty cool.
Well, sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes.
Sometimes they are. All right, let's talk about the health briefly touch on the health of it. These dogs can live for a very long time. So, the Nova Scotia Duck Tolling Retriever, or Little River Duck Dog, as it was known initially when it was bred in the Little River of Yarmouth County, they can live between 13 to 16 years is sort of the average lifespan of a toller.
Which is reasonably long.
That is a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a border collie.
Yeah, they can live for a long time, can't they?
Yeah.
Long term.
I hope so. I hope Penny lives forever.
She will live forever.
She'll invent some way to immortality.
Yeah. She'll find the fountain of youth. She'll find it.
Oh, good.
Breed health concerns may include Addison's disease, hyperadrenocorticism, which is Addison's disease, autoimmune thyroiditis, cataracts, Collie eye anomaly, and progressive retinal atrophy.
Fair few things with the eyes.
Yeah, so it would seem.
So get your pet insurance that covers eye surgeries.
Get your pet insurance. I need to find those fun facts.
I have to say, pet insurance, this is not a plug for pet insurance, except for it kind of is, because pet insurance is good.
Pet insurance is good.
I did not agree with pet insurance for a long time and then I started using it, thinking, oh, I'll just give it a go, and it saved me like 3 times.
Really?
Yeah.
What's one example?
One example was with Arrow ran into something, I don't know, but his neck had a big lump on it, and
I remember that. Yeah, when we were worried about it.
Yeah, and they did all sorts of stuff and covered heaps of it. It was awesome. So
that
well
is
worth
awesome.
doing. And now I tell people that anytime they're getting a dog that has either is super hyperactive or has potential for problems, to just get pet insurance. It's well worth it in the end.
Good on you, Big Kahuna.
Yeah.
You're just making the world a better place.
Yeah, well.
Not like me. Just getting drunk and being hungover and doing a real shit job of providing information to people.
You're doing a fine job.
Thanks for pumping my tires up again, man.
I don't have clap over here, but...
You don't have what? A clavicle?
A clap.
Oh.
I can't...
You do, yeah. Just reach on over and go. There you go. Thanks, guys. Thanks, everyone. Shut the fuck up. All right, we've got some fun facts. Not all of these are so fun, so I don't know why they call them fun facts. Stupid idiots. But this is one of only 2 dog breeds used for decoy purposes. And by decoy, we explained it sort of...
That's the one where they're luring the dog.
Where they're luring
the
dog.
Luring the ducks over.
Whereas if you have like a spaniel or something, they're to flush game or spring... Like a Springer Spaniel will jump on bushes and birds will fly out, or, stuff like that.
To flush things out.
Yeah, to make sure they not be passive aggressive about it. Be actually like, I'm coming to get you.
Yeah, like if you put a toller in that situation, they'd go over and dance around and hope the ducks would come out of the bushes.
Yeah, and tollers just walk up with their boombox, press play, and they're, my milkshake brings all the ducks to the pond, and they're like, it's better than yours. Sharon, she's playing that song again. She's playing your song. It's always Sharon. They are the smallest of the retriever breeds. The Toller is medium-sized, compact, powerful, and balanced. Males are 18 to 21 inches, and females 17 to 20 at the withers, with medium bone and weight proportion to the height and bone of the dog, which makes them the smallest of the retriever breeds.
Mm-hmm.
Here's another. This is a fun.
They're like a half-size golden retriever,
or fun-size Mars bar is a better way to, as I may have alluded to. The Toller is well adapted for water, and they love it because they have webbed feet. They have webbed feet and a double coat.
It's not,
which means they're probably insulated.
It doesn't sound like that's the reason that they love the water. It sounds like that's something that helps them when they're in the water.
Helps them while they're in the water.
Doesn't make them love it.
Yeah.
I've got webbed feet. That means I have to love the water.
Yeah.
I don't think that's the thing.
Yeah, exactly. Imagine trying to play the piano with webbed hands. Imagine if you loved piano and hated water. You'd be like, damn you! Anyways. Tollers... Oh, yeah. So number 7 in a list of like 15 fun facts. None of them are fun. But this is the last one. They scream.
Oh, yes. Tollers scream.
Yeah. So Tollers have a penetrating, high-pitched bark that sounds like a scream, which they produce to indicate excitement and eagerness. To the uninitiated, this can sound like something terrible. It is high-pitched, frantic, and loud. Owners, with persistence, can train their Toller not to scream.
It is annoying.
Oh, that would be frustrating.
Oh, it is.
Scoobs' alert.
Yeah.
It sounds like a seized bearing. It's so high pitched, and there's no way that you could confuse it for anything else than there's either game there, like there's either something there that shouldn't be there, or he's trying to get into something.
Yeah.
Because his frustration's built up.
Yeah, and it's just like,
Yep.
Piercing.
Oh, it just makes me want to grate all my skin off with it.
Cheese grater?
Cheese grater. Anyways, can you tell us the story about your encounter with a Little River duck dog?
Oh, this one,
please.
This is the dog that I have pretty like.
You don't think
with.
It could be successful in the doggy dancing arena?
Well, it's just a little bit, just a bit funny about some things. So, friends of ours have one of these guys, and she's absolutely adorable. Her name is Maple. Shout out to Mapes.
Oh, shout out to The syrup.
Yeah.
The scissor.
Yeah. Well, I thought that was quite funny because it's a Canadian breed.
Yeah, yeah.
And they called it maple.
Yeah.
So,
scissor.
which I thought was quite brilliant as well.
Yeah, it's
but,
pretty clever.
You know, an example of this, they brought the dog over to a friend's place, and you know they've done a fair bit of training. The dog's pretty good, and within short order, it ran around and made itself look like a
chaos,
complete dum-dum. It first thing it did was run in and
it's got its dunce's hat on.
Yeah, it ran into the house, peed on the other dog's bed that lives in the house. First thing it did, and then ran outside, fell in the pool. As if, you know, it was very clear that the pool was there, you know, and the dog just fell in and then couldn't get out, couldn't work it out. And then at some stage in the night, took a shit on the doormat. All in the same evening.
Welcome, everybody.
You can imagine, you know, that person, like, you know, there's always a person that comes to a party that's just a bit different. Well, that's the Toller. You know?
Yeah.
So,
you guys ready? Let's get the tequila out. Oh, no. Who invited Tony?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So, not a great first impression if you bring them to your friends' houses, even if they're well trained.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was quite funny.
For real.
So that's sort of my... When I think about them, I think about this dog, and I think, geez,
Louise.
They're a bit funny.
Jeez Louise. All right, so that's the end of Nova Scotia Duck Tolling Retriever. This is going to be a long episode, Kahuna, because we haven't even started the mailbag.
What?
Yeah, we haven't even started. So let's crack into it.
It's question time for Big Kahuna. Like why does little Fluffy always shit on my doona? Why she bite my girlfriend when I'm trying to spoon her? And all these questions and more. On Big Kahuna's mailbag.
It's still my favorite.
Yeah, because it's got your name in it. But it is my favorite one that I composed. I always think about that. I was just in my room one day. Ham was on a trip away with work, and I was lonely and had my ukulele and
started thinking about me.
Yeah, I was like, geez, just need to
started thinking about my mailbag. I mean,
inappropriate. Where's Boo? Give it to me. No! Yes, that's right. That is inappropriate.
I don't remember asking you a goddamn thing.
That's your favorite. That's your favorite one, eh?
Yeah.
All right.
It's because when you give information that we didn't ask for.
Okay. Anyways, this is the first question in Big Kahuna's mailbag. I've reached in there deep. I've reached in deep to get this question from Lachlan Wiltshire. I think, sorry, mate, if that's not how I pronounce your last name. But Locke hit us up on Instagram, and from what I know, he has a 9-week-old German Shepherd puppy.
Oh,
and
they're cute.
He says, "Hey, Big Kahuna, just wondering how do you train for relaxed compliance across multiple commands, specifically for a puppy? ? I have a 9-week-old German Shepherd dog. P.S. Still loving the show." Well, Locke, thank you for writing in, and we're very happy that we've got you as one of our loyal listeners, and we appreciate everything you do. Thanks for contributing to Dog Ugly Dudes as well with your question. Big Kahuna.
Sounds like a real gem.
He is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think what he's like, is he talking about like sit stays and drop stays and stuff? The relaxed compliance thing?
I should have done the due diligence thing and responded asking that question, but that's what it sounds like to me. So, wondering how you train for relaxed compliance across multiple commands. So, that to me is if I've got a dog in a drop and I want it to stay there, I think that's what Lachlan might mean.
Okay.
Or in a sit and you want to stay there. Okay. So, we spoke about this in Bunnings the other day.
Yeah. Well, we'll clarify what relaxed compliance is for the purposes of the way we use it, and then if that's what he means, then he can get back to us about that.
Cool.
But then we can talk about teaching this sit stays, drop stays, and all that. So relaxed compliance is, let's say you're holding on to your pup and they start to wiggle around and carry on, and they're trying to get away and do silly things to try and get away, and they're trying to bite at you and all sorts of stuff. If you just hold on to them and don't do anything, just try and keep them calm until they stop wriggling around and just settle themselves, that's called relaxed compliance.
Yep.
So, and then that's when I would let them go, right? So we can even talk about how you could potentially train a drop using relaxed compliance, or a sit. But if that's not what you're talking about, as Lachlan, as far as
let's just say, for instance, that it is.
Okay, so if that's the case, and if you're trying to train obedience skills using it's called the compulsion method. So you're not using treats and things like that. I would frown away from doing this with a puppy that's that young, and I would do relaxed compliance training with different things like what I was talking about, where you're just holding on to them and giving them a pat and stuff. Yeah. And when they start to wiggle, that's where I teach them relaxed compliance.
Especially because your pup is only 9 weeks old.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. So we don't want to make training that
this comes
stressful.
Back to what we
this comes back to exactly what we've just spoken about in this episode. But one thing that I've with Scuba, because he's only 6 months old, when I was trying to get him to do this sort of thing, I would let him self-shape certain behaviors, figure it out, and then I would reward him for doing those things. So it's in the dog's mind that he has done it. And how you might do this with a sit or a drop, you wait for the dog to perform that, and luring a dog into a sit with a little piece of kibble or meat is quite easy. And then once the dog has performed that action, that action, what I would then do is what I call machine gun feed treats. So while it's still adopting that sitting position or the drop position or whatever, it's just belt feeding treat after treat after treat after treat. And then when I'm done that, like you said the other day, Kahuna, then I say free, which is our release command.
Yes.
Can you touch on that, please?
Yeah. So the method that you're doing there is essentially they keep getting paid while they stay there, and if they move from that position, they stop getting paid. Mm-hmm. So and you can do this with their food as well. So if you don't want to give them a million treats, you can use their food for this. Just take it out of their portion or whatever, or give them their whole meal during training. Yes. And the idea is you're giving them heaps of treats so that they want to stay there. And as soon as they come out of the position, they stop getting them. So then they think, oh, maybe if I go back into that position again, then I can get more of these treats. Yep. Excuse me. So that's the one method. And what I would do for that is I would start with that, and then I move to a different method where I go, okay, now you have to wait there until you hear free. So I reduce the amount of time that they have to stay there, and then I give them like a second or two, and then I'll say free, and then they get the treat after they hear free. So then they're waiting to hear the word free in order to get the reward. So they're working harder for less rewards, but it's quite simple for them to understand. So you get them into the sit position, and maybe you're luring them into it or whatever, and saying sit. If you know you're going to get the position when you ask them to do it, then you can say it. If you don't know you're going to get it, then I would continue to just keep luring and doing that until you get that right. And then the idea is to build up the time from the point that they get into the position to the point that they hear the word free. Yeah. And that's if that's what you're trying to achieve, where you're trying to have that relaxed compliance across multiple commands, it's the same with every single command. You have to work out how the dog is going to get into the position first, either using a treat or using compulsion, and there are ways that you can, if you look on YouTube, there'll be how to guide a dog into position.
But for this example, like, I probably wouldn't use any compulsion.
No, I agree.
Exactly. You can lure your puppy into these positions. You could even lure your puppy into the heel position.
Yes, definitely.
Which for people not versed in the ways of getting a dog to heel is it's either left or the right side. Usually its front shoulder touching your side, and it walks with you either forwards or backwards. Doesn't matter. It's not leaving your side.
Yes.
But I wouldn't put any negative connotations on the training at this point. It has to all be positive, all be a good time. We can't limit the dog too much.
I'd be basically not even thinking about doing corrections until the dog's 6 months old.
Exactly right, man.
Not even thinking about it.
Nail on the head.
You know?
And it's important to understand what you're doing. So if you're pulling or pushing the dog in any sort of way, then that's negative reinforcement straight up.
Yeah.
Like, you can get your dog to achieve these positions just by luring them and waiting for it. Capturing, actually next week, I've teed it up. He's not a professional dog trainer. His name's Duck Vo. So Duck and I were in the army together, and he's got a little miniature Australian bulldog called Reggie. And Reggie's a bit of an Instagram sensation. And the things that Duck has got Reggie to do just by capturing the behaviors and reinforcing them properly is insane.
Yeah.
Reggie the mini bulldog on Instagram. And go and have a look at some of the stuff that he's done. And that's just by having a high positivity bias in the training and making it clear for the dog to understand what he needs to do in order to get the success. You know, Reggie does some cool shit. But like I said, I would make sure that the dog understands, and like you said, that when they adopt that position, they're getting like a lot of the things that they want, and then slowly drawing that back. Don't do it super quick. Rome wasn't built in a day. Otherwise, you're just going to get frustrated and the dog's going to get frustrated. It's little steps each week.
The dog is 9 weeks old.
Yeah, 9 weeks old.
Which
is the equivalent of having like a 1 or 2 year old baby.
Yeah. I would not be rushing any of this stuff. The other thing that you have to think about when your dog is this age, more than anything at all, is exposure. So expose them to as many things as possible and get them to enjoy lots of different places. Give them lots of good experiences. Don't worry about sits and drops yet.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about that yet.
Yeah.
But
I understand the keenness to start everything, but it's just, like you said, Kahuna, about making everything in the dog's life fun.
Yes.
Everything is enjoyable. There's no negative
and bring them
space.
everywhere that you want them
everywhere
to be.
that you can.
Yeah.
And you know how we spoke about the vaccinations and the puppy stuff? Like that was probably 2 months ago now. But that is critical. That is critical in this time frame with your puppy being 9 weeks old, probably 10 weeks old now, because that question was from last week. I apologize, we haven't got to it till now. But just take them as many places as you can.
Yep.
Just expose, control those environments, and ensure that it's all positive and happy times.
Well, the other thing to take into consideration with it is they are not physically developed enough yet to be able to do some of the things that you want.
Yeah.
So, they might not be able to do a drop very nicely. So there's no point in teaching them how to do a drop the wrong way because they're physically not capable yet. Might as well wait till they're a little older and they're physically capable, and then you can do the drop properly the first time.
That's right, dude.
And to give you an idea, I've never taught my German Shepherd to sit ever.
No, but he self-shapes it.
Yeah,
he has self-shaped it.
Yeah, that's right. Because when he's out in public and people are he's trying to get things from people. Most people are like wanting him to sit, so he just has worked it out and goes and sits down like a boss.
He does, and he's got a beautiful sit.
Yeah, he does.
He's figured it out.
But he won't do it on command because he's never done it.
Riley has just Snapchatted me saying, "I will end you."
Yeah.
Thanks, Riley. So if you're listening,
that's nice, Riley.
You won't because I'm too fast.
He's just recently grown into his man hands. So
yeah.
It's nice.
He's got big old mitts.
Yeah.
I wonder if I could self-shape him into a drop.
Absolutely. One punch.
Love you, Riley. Anyways, we've got another question, don't we?
Yes.
Can you please
God.
reach deep into your sack of mail? Reach on in to your sack of mail. Hurry up, Kahuna, 'cause you're slow as a snail. People have lives to live, and Christmas is coming.
Okay, here we go. I have a puppy that killed a chicken 2 days ago and would really like to stop from doing it again.
Oh, what a savage.
Yeah. The chickens are like domestic pets. My 11-year-old was distraught. Could you please let me know if there's a way that this can happen? Okay. Yes, there is.
Don't know who that's from, or
it's from
a client.
A client
Okay.
now.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
we won't be talking about who it's from. But
Sorry, mate.
Jesus, Josh.
Jesus Christ.
So this is an interesting question, and it's one that again comes back to positive, negative, training, that sort of stuff. And the reason
how old is the puppy? Just out of curiosity, because didn't you go there today?
Yeah, not a puppy, young dog.
Yeah. So they say puppy.
Yes.
We say young dog.
Yeah. So 7 months.
Potato. Yeah, it's a young dog.
Yeah. So outside of that puppy stage is now big, full size dog.
Yeah, it's just sort of growing into itself and understanding what it's capable of.
Yeah, exactly. And things are coming out that the
is it D6
innate
yet?
traits. No, not yet.
Yeah. See.
So the traits are coming out that as a dog gets older and starts to mature, things will be that are maybe instinctual to them will start coming out at different stages of their life.
Yep.
And I think for this one, it's realized that chasing the chickens is quite a valuable little pastime, and actually got to a chicken and killed it and ate it, started eating it. So
wow. So that's like a big old self-reward too.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be that's a source of food now.
Yeah. Now, see, I don't think he actually ate any of the meat, but was plucking it.
Just having a great time.
Just having the best time.
One for you and one for me. One for you. Wow, you're doing a real nice job of just laying there quietly. I'll whisper like this so you don't wake up. One for you, one for me.
So, classic. So the trick with this sort of stuff, I label this stock killing.
Yes.
Right. So if you have a dog that's killing sheep or whatever.
Oh. Joey and Scuba, when I let them out at Holbrook on the way to Brisbane, they saw a ram, and it was bad.
Did they?
They didn't get it. The ram just kept headbutting the fence like he was not backing down. And then I was scrambling trying to get Joey and Scoobs caught up.
Yes.
And this is just innate desires in dog. I don't teach them to go and
no. This is just
try. They just
genetics.
They just wanted to grab it.
Yeah.
And the ram was like, "You want a piece? With my horns all curled up, bitch." And then there was 150 school kids. If anybody's ever been to Holbrook, clambering over a full size submarine that was donated by the Navy, my two terriers trying to kill a ram. Oh God, it was calamity.
Oh, that is not good.
No.
But that's an example of it as well. So if your dogs had to live on a farm, right?
They wouldn't be allowed anywhere near.
So an example of it, though, that you'd have to stop that in some form, and it's natural to them to want to go and do it. So this is a situation which is the same. I treat this the same as snake aversion training. So
yes,
high level aversive for
has
doing,
to be.
Yeah, or else you're just not going to get permanent change.
You can't. Once the dog has decided that is what it wants to do, it's set out to achieve that goal, and it's in that particular drive. Nothing you can do other than a very high aversive is going to get that dog to refocus. And people will say, no, you can teach it with positive only training, that's not no, you can't, because if it's in the dog's genetics, when Joey and Scoobs go into that drive, I liken it to when a great white shark is in that feeding frenzy.
Yeah.
Nothing's getting into, the pupils dilate. It's like I must.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter
I
what...
must.
Exactly. And it doesn't matter what else...
is going on around.
You know, you could have
a whole bag of premium eye fillet cut up. It doesn't matter.
That's right.
Doesn't mean anything.
Exactly. Yeah.
And people will be like, no, like dogs.
You just
like
got to do it.
Their primary motivation is food, so they should disengage and ignore it. Well, it doesn't work like that.
The amount of dogs that I know that would forget about food and go hungry for the chase of the game.
Chase of the game. Yeah.
It's astonishing. You know,
it's crazy.
Most of the working dogs that we deal with are like that.
Yeah.
You know, that's what we deal with. And until you see it and you see how those dogs are,
you will never understand.
You won't understand it. Yeah. You go, but my dog loves food. I could get, you know, that's not the case.
Yeah.
And then someone will say, oh, but you just have to find the thing that it does do that for them. Yeah, it's the chicken. You know, it's the chicken. The prey.
That dog that loved fighting other dogs. That you know, you could put every assorted food down in front. You could put a whole roast chicken in front of that dog. If it saw that other dog and its mind is made up that is what I'm going to do, I'm going to engage with that dog and I'm going to fight it. There is nothing that you can do other than try and correct that out of the dog.
Yeah.
And even then, sometimes it's you're pushing shit uphill.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, it's not worth the time and effort.
Yeah.
But that's your option. And people will say, no, you're being closed-minded. That's not true. I'd love to see you try.
Yeah.
Send in your videos. Invite me to come and watch you. Like, I'll bring my dogs.
And then you teach them not to chase rabbits.
Exactly. Chase rabbits, chase cats, chase anything that's got 4 legs and moves other than dogs.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that they get on with that they don't try and engage with.
Yes.
And I have to manage that very, very effectively and carefully.
Yeah.
That's what I have to do. That's my life with my dogs, and I accept that because I know
what you've got.
Exactly. I know what I've got. Yeah. Okay. I don't try and make them into something that they aren't.
That's right.
But in order to if I wanted to stop them from doing something like that, or proof them off something, as we would say, proof in
yes, which is
then it would take
sure on that.
It would take a lot of corrections.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But in the case of this, with the puppy or the young dog killing the chickens, this could be an anomaly, but I'm going to hedge my bets and say it's probably not.
Well, no, I don't think it's an anomaly, but what I do think is that it's early enough that we can make the dog think that those aren't prey, right? So, so what you will do there is, we are using remote collar for it, and working on teaching the dog that the chickens are no good.
Don't get upset. Where is it?
Don't get upset.
Don't get upset.
That's right. And so we're using that for this situation, but it's very specific. So it has to be the specific behavior that, you can't just go out there and anytime they're near the chickens, just whack them, because to me that's they can misinterpret that.
Yeah, absolutely.
It needs to be based on the specific behavior that they do when the chickens are around. Otherwise, you're not targeting the actual problem.
Yeah, and you need to learn to be able to read the tells of a dog, and understand when it's going and what might be going through its mind when it is allowed to interact with those chickens.
Mm-hmm.
So a dog might be walking normally, and then when its interest is piqued by the chickens, it might pick up like a small trot, which is what I see Joey doing a lot.
Yes.
That's one of his tells. If he's keenly interested in something, his body language completely changes.
Yes.
In that he goes a bit more rigid and he's trotting almost, trying to find the source of the odor or what it might be, where it is. And so that's one of his tells. It might be that the dog, I don't know what kind of dog it is, but it might stand up and just stare.
Mm-hmm.
Like a stalk or almost a point.
Yes, absolutely. And so once you work out what the tells are, I even wait. So I get prepared when I see the tells.
Yep.
But then until they do the specific bad behavior that I don't want, the unwanted behavior. It's not a bad behavior; it's a natural behavior.
Yep.
So the unwanted behavior, that's the only time that I will use the remote collar, and because we need it to be very, very specific to that. I don't care if the dog sees chicken. I don't want the dog to see chickens and run away.
Yeah, I want the dog to be fearful of
No, that's right. I want them to to know that they're not able to attack chickens because chickens beat them every time, right? So they can be around chickens, but if they attack them, then they get beat every time, and that's the idea. And same thing with snakes. You know, I don't care if they, you know, if they don't run away from a snake, as long as they just avoid them.
Yeah.
You know, as long as they're avoiding the snakes, then they're safe. But what we don't want them to think is that they can ever beat a snake, right? So that they want to go up to them and try and have a go at them or even investigate them. We want them to just know that snakes are nasty and just
don't
leave
go
them
near
alone.
the snake.
Yeah.
Yep. That's right, dude.
So that's the idea with something like this. But it requires some finesse in your training, and it's not something where you go, oh, my dog killed a chicken, so I'm going to get a remote collar and just bash it every time it goes near the chickens. No,
that's stupid.
No, that's just no good.
It's dumb.
You have to get someone who knows what they're doing and has some experience with stock killing,
aka
and that sort of stuff.
biggest kahuna.
The biggest of kahunas.
Yeah, the grand poobah of aversion.
And you know, get someone who can do it properly without causing stress and really creating problems with your dog.
Yeah,
that's that. That's
that is
it.
so righteous.
Done.
You know, we've been this is our longest ever episode.
Are you?
Yeah, we've been going nearly an hour and a half.
Oh.
We're not cutting any of it. You just been waiting for an excuse to use a fart.
Yes.
Fair play. Fair play. But one thing I will add on, if anybody's got chickens and they want a good dog to hang out with the chickens, Marama sheepdogs.
Yes.
That is what they're bred to do. Stock guardians. And if they're raised with chickens as puppies, then they protect the chickens.
Just stick them all in there together.
Go watch Oddball. You know that movie Oddball,
Yep.
Kahuna? That's what that's about.
Yeah.
Protecting penguins on some island near... starts with M.
You see him out in the fields with the sheep.
Yes, with the sheep. And there's a guy, he's got like 3 or 4 Marama sheepdogs out near Warburton.
Oh, yes.
He has a big chicken farm.
Yeah.
Like an organic chicken farm.
Yeah, but they're not going to be really your pets as much. They
just chill with the chickens.
Yeah.
But you can. They'll just chill with the chickens and then you come out and give it a pat.
Yeah, and what they'll end up doing usually is, even if they are in and around you, the chickens are their priority.
Yeah.
Or the
Yeah, so maybe not such a good suggestion.
It's okay.
Yeah.
If you want a dog that's going to not kill the chickens, then absolutely.
You're just going to pal up with them and play poker with them every Tuesday.
Yeah.
Pay up, Clucky.
Do you remember that show, the one where there's a Marama and like a coyote, Wile E. Coyote maybe it was called. Hey Fred, hey.
Oh, was that Warner Brothers? Like,
yeah.
I think that was an old English sheepdog. It's got you can't see its eyes.
I don't remember now.
Yeah, you can't see its eyes.
Was that a Marama?
Sure. No. I think that's like an
dog?
old English sheepdog.
He used to beat the coyote every time.
Beat the coyote to death.
Oh, that's clever.
Oh, what do you got on for the rest of the week, man?
Oh, just more clients and a bit of fun.
Okay, cool.
Melbourne Cup weekend coming up.
Oh, yes, it is.
Mm-hmm.
I could give a shit about horse racing.
Yeah.
I really could.
I will not be anywhere near the horse racing.
It just doesn't interest me in any way.
No.
So, sorry if that gets under your skin. Anybody that likes horse racing, you're free to like horses and racing. I just won't be. The thought of going to a racing carnival is like, I would rather shit the bed and lay in it. That's what I would rather do. Someone's like, all right, Josh, you can go to Caulfield or whatever the fucking place is, or you can shit your bed and lay in it.
And you have to stay in there all day.
Yeah. I would do that. I would shit my bed. First off, because I hate getting dressed up in suits. And just the pretentiousness of...
You'd look pretty flash in a suit, though, wouldn't
No, I'd look like a homeless dude that's like lining up for a job. Like job interview. Like hat
Just
in hand.
your suit's way too big.
It's like, I will dance for money. Oh, green man, she ain't what she used to be. Anyways, I've sort of put us under the pump. Hopefully Duke can line it up and we can get him on here for the next episode where we'll be talking about, what is it? Capturing behaviors and reinforcing them and effectively reinforcing them, which is essentially what he's done. Hopefully, we can get him on, we can tee it up. But if not, then there'll be an episode in between this one until we get him on here. But go and have a look at Reggie the Mini Bulldog on Instagram and some of the cool tricks that he is able to perform. I have to thank everybody again. Oh, hang on, that's the wrong one. That's the Carlton song.
What a weird song that is.
Oh, shut up, Kahuna.
Sounds ridiculous.
Shut up, mate. You'll be playing 24 or 25 times next season. Yeah.
One for every loss?
No, they don't play it for the losses, you dingus. We're going to win the flag. You idiot. All right, here's that lovely tune of yours again. So warm and inviting. Thanks again for listening, everybody, if you have. We love bringing these episodes to you, and we love having you part of our community. If you can, leave us a rating on iTunes or Spotify or wherever you might have listened to this. We're now on YouTube as well. If you want to go and have a listen on there, I don't know what the difference is, but it's on there. It's a platform that you can find us. Yeah, 5-star rating on iTunes if you can, and leave us a review. That would be awesome, because you guys are awesome. Thanks again for listening to another episode of Dog Ugly Dudes Talking Dogs, and we'll talk to you all next week.
Get me out of here!
Oh, you are